welcome to JFix, and in this video I'm going to be practicing my soldering skills. Now, I've been struggling with soldering and I've had some great feedback from people who've given me some advice and different things to try, so definitely we're going to be trying some of those today. We're going to be doing this DIY retro game. Now, this one I've got here is an extra one that I've bought, so I will be giving this one away to somebody watching my video. So if you're interested in winning one of these, just stay tuned towards the end of the video and I'll give you some details on that. But yeah, if you are interested in this, it's dead cheap off AliExpress anyway, £7.14, and I will post a link. I'll show you it now on the screen. But yeah, it's something ideal if you just want a bit of practice and got something usable at the end of it as well. Probably give it to my one of my children to have a go at. So let's see if we can get it working, and I'm going to show you this. I've already opened one of these and I'll show you what you get included in the kit, and let's see if we can get it working. So here I have the parts laid out on the table here. So first of all, we've got this acrylic case, and it looks really nice quality actually. You can see at the back, so batteries are going to go into there. We've got the screws for the case, some various components here, obviously buttons as well, and the display, a little 7-segment display, and the motherboard. And what's really nice is if you're a beginner, it comes with a really nice manual on here on how to do this, with you know, full instructions, which it's quite nice really. Even gives you like your soldering method here as well, like about preheating the pad, melting the wire, and it shows you what a ideal joint will look like. And we've got a list of the components that are included, and even on here we have the schematics as well. So for the chip that comes with it, and all the parts on here, like the 7-segment display and the other displays, you've got all the pinouts here. So you could probably take this further as well if you wanted to do like a little Arduino project. The chip that you get, it's over here, is also reprogrammable as well. So potentially you could do something interesting with this, which might look at doing in the future. But for now, I just want to practice the soldering and see if we can build this up and get it working. So for this project, I think I will actually follow the instructions on this. You probably work it out yourself, but I think let's see how easy it is to follow these instructions. So step 1 here is to fit this resistor and these 2 capacitors here. So it looks like 2 of these capacitors go inside the dip socket itself, and then this resistor over to the side. So let's have a look at that. So we can see that it's all actually really marked out for us nicely on the board. So we can have the electrolytic capacitor C1, this 10 UF capacitor, and we can see that obviously this electrolytic capacitors are polarity conscious. So we've got the minus marked by the minus there on this side. So it's actually got the longer leg, so we can put that through the hole. And I'm assuming that it's going to have to bend down, so we can probably bend it down like that, because when the chip holder is, the chip's going to go on top of that, so it's going to have to sit quite flat to the board. So we'll put that one in. And now we've also got this like the film resistor. Doesn't matter which way that one goes around, of course. So let's pop that in there. I don't think that's sit up too high actually off the board, so you might not have to bend that down. It's about the same height as that electrolytic. And we've got the resistor as well, a 10k resistor. Let's bend the legs on the resistor and pop it in. Okay, so all of our components are in place now, and we can go ahead and solder those. One tip is you could bend the legs slightly. That will stop the components falling out, or if you want to have the legs facing straight up, you can just hold the component underneath as you solder it. So I'm using the Aixen soldering station. I've already done a video on that if you're interested, but I will put the link on the video. And it's got two soldering idings connected on here. I've got the T115 and the T245. I'm going to try both of these to experiment and see how it works, but this one is like for micro soldering and this one's a lot bigger, better for, you know, your heat transfer. I've got my channel set to 350 degrees. Now before, when I was having a problem, I think the temperature was too high. It was actually 450, but I've told that 350 will be a much better temperature to use. So let's have a go with this small iron at the 350 degrees. The solder that I'm going to be using is this Mechanic HXT100 solder, and this was very kindly sent to me. Right, my iron is on and we're at 350 degrees. I've just cleaned the tip on here and I'm just going to add a little bit of solder to the tip now. And the solder is actually staying on the tip this time, which I had problems with before, so I think having a clean tip also helps as well. So let's see if I could just maybe heat up. I'm doing the resistor first, which is over here. I'm just going to see if I can heat this up. I think I might need something to hold the board. Right, I'm going to try and solder like this on the mat. So we'll heat up the pad and we'll just add a little bit of soldering. And let's make sure that's fully pulled up. Let's heat up the pad. Right, let's inspect that. So yeah, that hasn't worked. As I've soldered that, the resistor has come up. It didn't hold it in. Let's see if I can melt both of these joints and then push the resistor through. Gonna have to do it one leg at a time, I think. Right, that's sitting nicely flush to the board now, that resistor. Okay, so I think I am definitely going to just bend the legs to the side on these components, and that will stop these ones from falling in like the other one. And now if I leave them, they're remaining in place. Yeah, let's do that. They look pretty fine to me, and they're all sitting nicely on the board. Let's go step 2. I think as I go, I'm going to just cut these off as well with the flush cutters. If I'm not sure about something, I wouldn't cut these legs off, but pretty sure these are fine, so let's cut those legs. Actually, I don't know how, but I've managed to put that the wrong way around. Oh, okay, my negative's on the positive. I don't know how I've managed to do that. Okay, good news, I've managed to save the capacitor and turn it around. I used the bigger solder iron to heat both of these at the same time, and then I've just used a little bit of wick to clear out the holes, and I've managed to rotate it around so the negative side is matching. And that's all 3 of those components soldered in place. So next in our instruction is the socket for the chip, and it says there's a little notch in here that indicates the top. So I'm going to take the socket here, and indeed we've got a little notch up there. So let's try and fit that over these things that we've soldered. Yeah, that fits in nicely, and it looks like we're going to have clearance for the chip. On this one, I think I'm going to use the big soldering iron. Maybe let's see if I can tack one of these in to start with, because I really want this to sit flush on the board. And if you solder it wrong and you've got more than one, it's quite hard to move it. Like, it was a bit difficult to get that cap back out again. So yeah, let's see if I can hold it really firmly to the board and then just tack one. I'll get a decent amount of solder on the tip for this. Nice big blob. Try and tack this one here. I can come over and finish that after, but let's just let that dry. Yeah, and that's nice and firm to the board now, and that'll stop it going anywhere. So hopefully I can just run along these down the line. In fact, just to make sure it's extra secure, I'm going to tack this one first at that corner as well, I think. Because there's quite a lot of these pins, I think I'm going to try and just go straight along and put some flux down to help things. Let's see on this side if that will help. Let's just see if we can run down. Right, let me inspect that, see how that's turning out. It looks good, but we do need a few more solder on some of these. Let's just go by one and one. I'm actually really happy with how that side's turned out. I'm going to clean it up while it's still a little bit warm. So just inspecting the joints there. I'm really pleased with how they've come out. The solder seems to be hugging the pin going up. There's just the one at the end there, just need to sort out. That was the one that I tacked first. So I'll just sort that one out, and I'm going to speed this up now. I'll just quickly do the other side and then we'll move on to the next section. My socket is fully soldered and the other side's gone well. So let's move on to the next step. And it looks like it's the USB socket. Adjacent pads cannot be blocked by tin, so it looks like we can't tap onto these two here. We've got to make sure it just goes onto the pad underneath the plus and the minus. So here's my little micro USB socket, and it's just a power socket only. It's not got any data on it, so it's just the plus and the minus. And I think what it means on the instruction is don't block this hole here, because obviously the button is going to have to go in there, so just make sure it goes on the pad and we make sure we leave that hole clear. Right, so let's put a bit of heat on that pin. Okay, on the other side. Okay, I think that's good, and we've still got the hole clear. It doesn't mention it in the manual, but I'm going to put in on these legs on here some solder, just to give that USB port some strength. That's making a really good job. I've just turned the iron down at the moment. I'm at about 320 degrees. Seems to be a sweet spot for my iron. Right, our next step is the switch on here, and it does have a note in red in here that we can't be in contact with the pins for a long time, otherwise the black plastic will melt. So let's see if we can do this one quite quickly. So S1 is going to be our switch, and the switch obviously going to face outwards on the board. So let's pop that in there. That sits in there nicely. Okay, so let's move quickly with the soldering iron. Okay, that switch is tacked on. Go this side. And somehow we've managed not to melt the switch. Seems to be fine. Soldered on quite nicely. Next on the list we've got the 7-segment display, and decimal points are on the bottom. That indicates top and bottom of the screen. I'm quite enjoying doing this. This is like a Lego for adults. So definitely these are at the bottom. Oh, is it a film on there? Is that supposed to be on there? Yeah, there's a film on here. Let's peel that off. Nice. So the dots are on the bottom. That slots in nicely. And this is another one where I'm going to hold it in my hands so it's flush to the board, and I'm just going to try tacking one of those, and maybe the other. Yeah, I can let go of it now. Right, step 6 is our dot matrix screen, and it gives us an instruction that the letters basically are facing the bottom. So let's do that now. Here are our screens. They do have a peely thing. So the letters towards the bottom, and line up the pins. One of them is slightly out. Just make sure they're all perfectly straight. And we're in. I think I'll just do one at a time, then I can hold it. This is actually quite therapeutic once you find your rhythm with it. It just goes to show, just a little bit of practice actually really helps. Seems to be going really well now. I'm really happy with the results there. And it's starting to come together now. We've got our socket, we've got our score thing here, and our dot matrix screens. Let's go to the next step. So next step in the video, on step 7, is the switches, and we've got 4 here and 1 there. And I've also got an assistant who's helping me on this part. Okay, so just going to insert the switches. Thanks for your help.
No problem.
Make sure they're flat to the board. 2 more. Is that one going in?
No.
Just do it evenly. Make sure the legs aren't bent. And 1 more. Okay, do you want to have a go at soldering it? So take your soldering iron. And here's the solder. Okay. Do you want to do this one here? Don't touch the metal part of it.
Yeah.
Okay, should I inspect your work? That's not bad. It's better than me, that is. Off camera, my lad has helped me to solder all of these switches and had fun doing that. And they all feel nice and clicky. And they're all soldered on rather nicely. And he really enjoyed doing that. Okay, let's see what the next step is. Step 8 and step 9 is to install the transistor and also the little speaker buzzer, and both of these are going to be polarity conscious. We've got to get them in the right way. So there's a plus indicator on the speaker here, and also I'll show you the circuit board because it's domed in the right shape for the transistor. So yeah, this little transistor is going to go into the Q1 here, and you can see the flat side here is going to measure to the flat side there. Yep. Try to get it even. And I'll just bend those pins slightly. Let's get this buzzer done at the same time. So we've got the plus here, lining up with the plus there. And that's going to sit in there. Let me hold that down. These pens are a bit bigger, but I can still bend them. Time to chop the legs off. Next step is to fit our STC chip, and it looks like there's a gap mark here that goes towards the top, towards that 7-segment display. So yeah, we can see the indent on there, and we should be able to fit this in our chip holder. So the chip pins don't actually line up fully with the leg. You can put them in on one side and they're going to be overlapping. They do need to be bent in a little bit. So I think to bend them in, I'm going to insert it off axis here, and then let's just see if I can use that chip to bend them all in equally. And I can feel they've bent in a little bit. Do the same with the other side. I'll put them in there and then bend it down slightly. I can feel them bending, and hopefully we will fit in here now. If we've bent it enough, I think we have. Just make sure we're lined up here. I think it's good. Let's push it down. And all those pins seem to be in both sides. That'll work quite well. Okay, red caps on the black button. Next step. Let's see how good aim we are. Can we throw these on? Perfect. I want to play it now. The next step here is about messing around with these little battery terminals. So the important part on these is that the little springy bits are going to be our negative terminals and the flat ones are going to be our positive. So we need to position them inside the plastic connector and then bend the little flaps down, and we do need to modify this one so it will fit in, and cut the little tab off, and then we can solder the wires. Let me show you what that looks like inside the case. I'm just going to use my flush cutters just to trim that extra piece that needs to be removed off there. So I'll take the piece I've trimmed, and that means I can now insert it downwards. So we've got a negative terminal, a positive terminal, and one more negative terminal with a tab to solder onto. And on the other side, we can have this one with the tab facing up in this slot. So we need positive, negative, positive, and we can put that one in there. So we need to solder onto our negative terminal and our positive terminal, and this one can be folded down. Here's what it looks like. Now this one is quite close to this post here, so I think I might just solder this out of the circuit here. I'm going to put a bit of solder on this soldering iron. Let's see if we can tin up this end. And hopefully this will attach onto here. Yep. Right, wires are now both attached, and we've got one last thing to solder, and that is on the underside of the board. Solder the wires in here. So red will be in the plus and black in the negative, and that's it. Wires are tacked on, and I think we're ready to put some batteries in and give this a go. And that is the kit fully assembled. So now let's see if it's going to work. So here we go. Let's power it on for the first time. We've got our port here for charging and our switch here. Is it going to work? Oh yes. Okay. Wow, the screen, the green is really bright. I'm surprised at how bright that is. I don't know if you can see in the camera. So what we got here. So this must be the game modes. That looks like Tetris. That's going to be your Snake. That's like a racing game. Space Invaders. And what's this? Oh, okay, these are your settings. That might be your brightness. Oh, here we go, maximum brightness. Is that your sound? Oh, speaker's working. Lovely. Let's go back to Tetris. Oh yeah. Everything's working. There we go, first line. It actually works perfectly. Okay, let's go to the end. Yep, and every single LED is working on there. And we've got a score counter on here. It's in the direct light here, but we got 2 lines. So that's perfect. Well, that's it. This little DIY retro game is now finished, and I'm really happy with it. I really enjoyed doing it, and if you're somebody like me who wants a bit of soldering practice, this was fantastic, and the instructions were really easy to follow as well. So yeah, and I've been playing with it a little bit off the camera, and it's actually quite enjoyable to have a game with, and I'm quite impressed with the colours on the display. They're really bright as well. So yeah, I'm really happy with this, and I'm going to give it to my kids now to have a little go with. But yeah, for £7 as well, be sure to pick yourself one up off AliExpress, and I'll put the link for this in the description below. But the other one that I've got, this one's for giving away on my channel. If you want this one, just leave a comment down below and I'll select somebody and get it sent out to you. You can just drop me an email if I respond on your comment. But thanks for watching if you've watched this far, and I'll see you in the next video.